Good evening, and I'm going to be reading from Matthew chapter 24 tonight, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the fact is that the timing of the rapture, and as far as when will the rapture actually take place. Now, no one knows the day or the hour. We know that we're very close. We know that because of the signs that we're seeing on the horizon, there's no really definite sign as far as what to look for as far as knowing when the rapture would take place. But there's signs that reveal the coming Daniel's 70th week, or the day of Jacob's trouble, or what some refer to as the tribulation period. There are a lot of signs indicating that we are on the verge of the tribulation. You know, the secular world celebrates Christmas on December 25th, and if you notice that now we're in the month of October, if you were to go to the mall, you would see there's Christmas decorations already up today, and people are anticipating Christmas time, buying gifts and so forth. But there's also another event that's going to always precedes Christmas, and that is Thanksgiving. In a similar way, that's the way it is with the time frame that we're living in now. There's all signs of the coming of the Mashiach as far as to deliver Yasharel or Israel at the end of the tribulation. There's signs of the tribulation all before us on the news, and if you're paying attention, you realize that we're in the last days. But the thing that precedes all this is the rapture of the church. And again, the rapture of the church is all born again Jew and Gentile believers in the Jewish Messiah. That is who the church is identified as, or the kahal in Hebrew. So, or in Greek, it would be referred to as the ecclesia, but it's a group of believers who the Messiah said that he would build his kahal upon the revelation of who he was. And that's who the church is. And because we are not appointed to Yahuwah's wrath, because we've already been justified, made righteous by our faith and trust in the Messiah. And righteousness has been imputed to you and I, and Yahuwah, our Creator, sees us that way. And so we are not appointed to this time frame. Now, reading in Matthew 24, it says here, starting at verse, let's say verse 29. And by the way, this is a favorite verse, these next few verses that people like to use to try to prove that the rapture is at the end of the tribulation. But because they take these verses out of context, we can prove that they're not correct. But let me read here. It says in verse 29, Matthew 24, verse 29, the Messiah, Yahusha, is speaking, and he says, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Now, this is not the rapture. This is the second coming of the Mashiach, and he's coming for a different reason. At the rapture, he's coming to rescue us, his bride, to take us to the Father's house, fulfilling a promise that he made to us in John chapter 14, verses 1 through 3. He made a promise that he would come back for us because he was going to prepare a place for us, and that we would go and be with him. This is so different from the second coming. The second coming is coming for a different reason, and in fact, we're coming back with him if you read through Revelation chapter 19. So, this is talking about after the tribulation, because verse 29 says, immediately after the tribulation, that the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and all the tribes of the earth shall mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Now, a lot of people like to say that's talking about the church here, because we're described as the elect. No, Yasharel, the children of Israel, the Yahudim, are referred to as the elect of Yahuwah. Now, the church is also referred to as the elect over in the New Testament by the Apostle Paul, but again, this is just a word that identifies a set of chosen people, or set apart people, and the ones that the set apart people that it's making reference to is the elect of Israel. So at this time frame shall all the elect of Yasharel be gathered together. Now they're gathered together for a particular reason. Those that have survived the tribulation, they will be allowed to enter into the millennial reign of the Messiah, the Mashiach. Those that have died during the tribulation, that have put their faith and trust in the Messiah, the Mashiach, will be raised at that point. And they'll also be allowed to enter into this millennial kingdom on the earth, because Israel, or Yasharel, was not promised the rapture. They were promised an eternal inheritance upon the earth. The church's home is in the New Jerusalem. We've talked about this in our past teachings. Our citizenship is in heaven, as the Apostle Paul wrote about in Philippians chapter 3, verse 20. We're going to continue this on our next session, because there's a lot more I need to get into, but I got to cut it short because we're running long on this session. So until our next time together, just be looking up, for our redemption is drawing near. Until next time, Baruch haba Bashem Yahuwah, which is Hebrew for blessed is he who comes in the name of Yahuwah. Shalom.